5 Live Boxing.
Well, the fight ended a few minutes ago. Well, not a few minutes ago, I'm tricking. The fight ended about 40 minutes ago, and miraculously, 94,000 people have left the arena. It is the 5 Live Boxing bonus post-fight show pod. I'm ringside here with a man who thrilled them in this very arena. 80,000 people came to see him, Carl Froch. And next to me, and I'll start with this man, is Top Ranks Todd DeBeau. Todd, you are literally buzzing, it still seems. You're throwing shots, you and Froch, you and Carl are shaping up, you're showing the punches. It was some finish, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, listen, the energy, I mean, I don't know how 94,000 people got out of here. So
I don't either.
It's like a vacuum came over the roof and sucked everybody out. I don't get it. But I'm just telling you, I said this at the press conference, we're all going to remember this night.
Yeah.
It was an incredible night. It was incredible for everybody. Everybody experienced it, and you saw a masterclass performance by Tyson Fury.
So let me just put it into simple terms, Carl. 94,000 people came to see the mandatory challenger, Dillian Whyte, a man who's waited over 1,000 nights as the number one. The first, second, third, and fourth, and fifth rounds, Dillian was trying stuff. Maybe he was off the pace. Maybe Tyson was just too good. Tyson was just controlling it without dominating nastily. And then suddenly, in the sixth round, Tyson landed. I put it to him. I still think it was the finest punch of his career. A short right hand. Dillian went down. Fight was over. Did the end shock you, Carl?
It just came quick and from nowhere. But you could see Tyson Fury having a look at the gaps, picking his spot, looking at the openings, kind of working out his man, working out where Dillian Whyte was putting his head and his chin. And Whyte was starting to come forward a little bit cumbersome. At that stage of the fight, after round 4 or 5, you start to feel the pace a little bit. Yeah. And the big lumps in there, the big heavyweights, 18 stone. So it all slowed down a little bit, and it got a bit messy. Got a bit messy early on. It was a bit of a scrap, wasn't it?
Yeah, with close, the elbows in the
heads went in, the elbows, the forearm went in. The referee had to bring them apart and have a word with them a couple of times.
But we did expect that, Todd, didn't we? We did expect it to be physical.
Tactics from Whyte.
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, I love body language. When I'm watching a fight and I see body language, all of a sudden you can see momentum change, right? You saw the body language start to move against Whyte. He started to get a little gas. Some body shots got him.
Started to lean forward a little bit.
Started leaning forward.
Into shots.
And it was almost like in American baseball, the Grand Slam home run in the bottom of the ninth. The way Tyson landed that uppercut, it was like a walk-off home run, right? He kind of like walked off. He pushed him and walked off.
That was it.
He knew it was over. Yeah. It was like a walk-off home run.
Yeah, it didn't look like a big shot till I watched it on the replay, but trust me,
a sickening shot.
Trust me, when that shot landed, it landed, it hit the chin full force and skimmed off the side of the cheek. And when you see somebody's ear bend that much, George Grove's ear bent in half when he hit him with that right hand. You think, you see it in slow motion, you think, how does the ear actually bend in half? And that's the impact of the punch. And that shot crunched him to the bones, and it was out before he hit the floor.
Now, Todd, I'm going to let you go in a moment because I know you're being called and you've got all your whole team's here. Carl Moretti's here, Brad Jacobs here, the whole team, except for Bob, who's got some symptoms of COVID. Have you spoken to Bob since the fight finished?
Not since the fight finished, but I can tell you this.
Go on.
They gave Tyson the phone in the ring, and Bob was at home talking to him in the ring after the fight. So if you could ask for a gift for both of them, it was a blessing. And he's feeling so much better. And he really, this was one of those events that would have been one of his crowning moments. He really wanted to be here more than anything. He has a lot of history here.
Oh, he does.
Going back to Ali and Minter.
Listen, this would have been a classic Bob Arum night. So let me ask you this. Tyson said to me, "I've given Paris my word. I'm going to have to walk away." That's what he said in the ring. I know he said it before, but is he more serious this time? Might he genuinely walk away, Todd? Might that be the last we ever see of him in a professional boxing ring against a boxer?
What else would he be in with? You just said against a boxer.
Don't you?
He's going to play against somebody in cricket, or what is he going to do?
Don't you dare put words in my mouth.
Hey, listen, a boxer. Listen, there was like some subliminal message there.
Listen, a boxer or something else.
He's done a little stint in the wrestling, WWE in America. And he's an entertainer, and he's certainly big enough. Yeah. So who knows? This guy entertains to the core. That's what he likes to do. He entertained in there tonight in the end with that perfect uppercut.
Yep.
And whatever he decides to go and do, I think he'll be successful in, because he's that much of a character and that much of a big name. But I wouldn't be surprised if he hangs the gloves up. I don't want to give anybody any stick, but I'm sitting there ringside watching the fight, and I don't know. I feel like Fury never really got going. His jab wasn't as sharp as it can be. The combination punches weren't really there. Now, maybe that was his game plan.
1 eye on retirement.
Maybe that was the tactics. I don't know if it's 1 eye on retirement, or maybe, I don't know. It just feels like, how much desire has he got left? He's got his kids, he's got his family, he's made his money. He struggles. He don't need to get down to weight, but he never looks in great shape, does he?
Yeah.
I feel like it's getting harder and harder for him. It's getting harder and harder for him. And it wasn't much of a fight up until the finish, but we said earlier it was tactical. It was working out. It was a game of chess. But the finish was
a smart fight.
The finish was that good. We know Tyson can come again, and there's fights out there for him, depending on what happens with AJ and Usyk. I hope he doesn't retire, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
So Todd, let me change the tack on this slightly. We've seen there's UFC guys throwing him challenges, all sorts of guys throwing him challenges. On about Tuesday or Wednesday, when you get back to Las Vegas, be a bit warmer than here. Let me just tell people, we're not under the awning here, and we are getting hit with rain. It is raining at nearly midnight in London, but that's okay.
It's perfect timing, by the way.
It's perfect.
If you're going to rain at midnight.
Absolutely. So when you get back to Las Vegas and you sit down and you have a sort of debrief, are there natural names that come to mind for a fight maybe back in America, or are we looking at the winner of the Saudi Arabian fight between Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua? What's your gut feeling, Todd?
I mean, our gut feeling is Tyson's the driver, right? He's the driver, so whatever we gut feel, he's got to want to get in that car and drive. Yeah. And all I've heard from him is he wants the winner of that fight. So that's what I've heard. That was prior to this.
Yeah.
So he's the guy telling us what to do at the end of the day. He's at that point of his career, right? And of how motivated he is and what gets him motivated, that's an inner voice. That's not something Bob and I or Frank, we can sit around at a table, right? It's that inner voice.
It's going to be down to his desire
it's
to continue.
It's inside of you when you have it or you don't.
No, you know what, Todd? I'm going to let you go after this answer. There was a moment there tonight before they came in as Tyson was making his way in, and Don McLean was singing up there a specially recorded song of performance he did for BT Sport, and everybody had lit their phones up, and it was like the stars. And I was sitting over there at ringside with Richie Woodall, Olympic bronze medalist, world champion, and my commentator, who's a great football commentator. And the three of us were just looking up like three boys looking at toys at Christmas. It was a special night, Todd, wasn't it?
Everything that I've seen from the States that came from the UK, these big nights, right? Joshua Klitschko. Well, your big fight, it shocked everybody, right?
Yeah.
Nobody saw that.
80,000.
He's talking about Frotch Groves.
Yeah, of course he is.
The rematch.
But it was a special fight.
Absolutely.
I mean, and it almost was
I thought it was the best fight ever to happen.
Slow down,
in the history of football.
It really was the pace car for what happened.
Yeah, that was the changer. It was
for
the
the Renaissance.
That was a catalyst.
It was the catalyst for the Renaissance of boxing here. And we used to sit abroad and see it. Yeah. Now to be here, immersed in it, I never want to go anywhere else.
So
I'm never going back to Vegas.
Todd, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for your time.
Right,
go and join Brad and Carl.
I will.
See you, Todd.
Todd, thanks very much indeed.
You too,
Todd DeBeef there, the boss man at Top Rank with information. Brad and Carl, thank you very much indeed for waiting for him. Thank you. See you later, fellas. Frotch.
69.
Yeah, maybe
172.
once.
And he was being an audio man too.
Yeah, this is Carl Moretti and Brad Jacobs coming over from Top Rank to insist that Carl Frotch had gained 1 pound since he stopped boxing.
These boys keep eyeing me up, for a comeback.
They're looking for a fight. We can carry on walking this way. So what's happened here? Let me just tell people what we're doing. This is the pod. We're now walking out. We're about the only two people in here, other than all of the people that are in the yellow jackets, dismantling the ring, and of course all of the red coat security who have had a fairly lively night. There are now thousands of people in here with yellow jackets, orange hats on. Carl, as we walk back, and I agree with you. I thought. I don't know. I thought Dillian was maybe just a little bit off the pace. I thought he might have increased his pace as the fight went on. I don't think he did. I think he tried a bit of lunging, which didn't work, played into Tyson's hands. The finish was a good finish, a terrific finish.
Great finish. I just feel like the fight never got going, never caught fire, and I feel like it was getting there because there was both starting to tire. There was getting closer together without holding, without mauling and messing up. But that's how boxing is sometimes. 1 point, especially heavyweight boxing.
But it was also. I mean, I agree completely with that because the flip side of that is that it was Tyson controlling and handling a potentially dangerous opponent,
just doing what
safely
he wanted to do,
and being hit with like half a dozen body shots and a couple of jabs.
Was it slow and cumbersome, and was it a bit of a below par performance, or was it a genius masterclass from the king? The Gypsy King.
Yeah,
which one was it? Because that finish was poised just before it happened. We saw him looking. We saw him moving his head and lining the shot up.
Carl, he was looking. When he was in close, he was literally sticking his head out, Tyson, below either side of the elbows and looking for the gaps where he was going to slip in shots. That was planned. But I'll say this, and I don't want to. Luckily, most of Tyson's 94,500 fans have left. I didn't see that fight ending with a single punch.
No,
I didn't.
I totally agree with you.
I mean, I could lie and make out I thought he might walk onto a shot, but that would be a lie, Carl. We don't lie. I didn't see that ending with one intentional single shot under any circumstances.
Unless it was Dillian Whyte landing a left hook.
Exactly.
With a shot I didn't see coming.
He didn't even throw. He threw one left hook and miss of it. I didn't even see him put them together like he has done.
Tyson was just controlling that distance and making it look a bit ugly at times and just keeping himself out of harm's way and just taking them little steps with the feet and just putting himself in the right position until, boom, the uppercut landed. And it landed flush on the chin. Yeah. And like I said earlier, Dillian Whyte was asleep before he hit the canvas.
And that's a great point you make about the facial distortion when a punch lands. You know, it lands and in such a flash, you don't see that on TV. You don't see it from 6 feet away at ringside, but you see it in super slow-mo. And as you say, Dillian's ear was twisted from the shot. You know, you get hit with a shot on the or basically the point of the chin, and yet your ear, 5.5, 6 inches away, is twisted. That's the kind of power.
It shows the impact and like the whiplash effect, and that obviously vibrates through into the brain and just knocks your brain inside your skull and renders you unconscious. It's a neurological effect, and the central nervous system switches off.
And that's it.
Fury found the punch. He found the punch. And the fight was over.
Let me ask you this before I ask you about what happens now for Fury and whether what he told me in the ring is something that he actually acts on. Let me ask you this about the atmosphere itself. It was a slow build because when you have a big stadium and it gets lighter, and it starts to get darker, more and more people come in. But that entire 12, 13, 14-minute sequence as the pair of them came to the ring, that was quite sensational, wasn't it?
It was. I was about to say, I hope you're ending this with saying that was quite sensational or amazing because, Dillian Whyte's was great and I enjoyed it, but when Tyson Fury built up with Biggie Smalls, Juicy, and it was wrapped into the ring and then it cut in to whatever the next track was, I can't remember, but the atmosphere was amazing.
Off the scale.
Yeah, it was really, really fun to be part of it and witness it live.
Absolutely lunatic.
There's a big man himself, Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Tyson, well done, mate. How are you, mate?
Carl, do you remember when I sold out 94,000 at Wembley?
No need for that, was there? No need for that. Hey, Tyson, congratulations, mate. Good punch. Good punch. Congratulations.
All the best.
Well, that was Tyson Fury coming out now to leave with his entourage there, giving a few words. Carl, it seems to me, mate, you get a lot of stick about this 80,000. People just don't realise.
Let's be honest, mate. It's my own fault. It's
your own fault. You've got no problem with that. What we're going to try and do here, we're going to try and get Sugar Hill. He's here. We're going to try and grab him. So Sugar Hill has tapped his watch. He's going to give me 2 minutes. The ending was punch perfect. It was brilliant. It was clinical. It was shocking. It was everything. You must be delighted.
I would say, yeah, I am delighted. I'm very delighted of Tyson Fury's performance. I'm delighted of him being happy to perform in such of a crowd of this magnitude at home, setting records, and delivering that sensational right uppercut knockout.
And what about he's talking. He told me, he said, I'm going to have to stick to my word and walk away. What's your gut feeling, or is it Tyson's decision?
It's all Tyson's decision, of course. Him and his family, him and Paris, they'll make that decision, and that's a decision that for them to make only. I don't think one way about it anyway. Only thing I think of, if he's retiring, I'm on a hiatus.
let me ask you this: when he was coming back after the first, the second, and third and fourth rounds, in the corner, were you a bit surprised, perhaps, by you're going to take him down, Mel? Yeah, no, we're just going to lose Sugar. This is the last answer. Were you surprised? Were you or was Tyson surprised at Dillian's strength in the early rounds?
We thought he did good. That's what we expected. The best of Dillian Whyte.
Sugar, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Sugar's gone off to the conference. We're going to move over here now because Joe Joyce is here. Joe, before we talk about the fight we've seen, I've got to ask you about the fight that you and I announced tonight. You fighting Joseph Parker sometime in July, and Frank Warren talked about it being outdoors. I've got to tell you, it's one of those fights that seems almost too good to be true. It's such a hard fight, I think, for the pair of you, and I'll say that to you. I'm not going to lie. You could have taken a much easier fight. He could have taken an easier fight.
Yeah, I agree. What a great fight for the both of us. Like, we're outside the top four. We're the best for each other because I'm number 1 in WBO. He's number 2. I'm number 2 in WBC, and he's number 3. So it's like there's not a better fight out there.
Now let's talk about what we saw in there tonight. The first 3 or 4 rounds were hard mauling, people moving around. Tyson in front, just using his jab, controlling it in some ways. But the finish, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Did you imagine it would end like that? And could you believe it, that just the precision of a simple uppercut like that?
No way, I couldn't believe it, not in a million years. The uppercut he caught him with, I thought he might have got up, but no, that was it. And like I didn't even see it, and I was waiting for the replay, but he was just on the floor, stumbling about.
Now, John, some people are saying they expected it to be Tyson controlling like that, and other people are saying they expected a bit more from Dillian. The 5.5 completed rounds that we saw before it was finished, on nearly 6 rounds, did it surprise you the way that fight played out?
Yeah, there was different stages. Like the first stage was when Dillian stepped out southpaw, which through
first round.
And first round.
It's not a very good southpaw, really, by the way.
Nah, but I mean, he was defensive enough, and gave him a bit. It's a bit interesting, and then Fury started. Well, it got a bit nasty a little bit.
Very ugly at one point.
Ugly, and I thought. The crowd was going to kick off and be a brawl
or 2.
Did you think that Dillian Whyte was working enough up close when he closed the distance? Because he got messy and he's using his forearm and it was being held and mauled a little bit. But do you think Whyte could have done more around the body or tried to put a little bit more pressure on Tyson Fury? Or do you think Tyson was just controlling it? If you put yourself in Dillian Whyte's position, challenging for the WBC heavyweight world title, you've waited, 3 years for his chance. Do you feel like he did enough up close, or was he nullified by Tyson's skill and expertise? Was he just too good in there?
Yeah, I'm not sure because he tried his best, but maybe he could have thrown a lot more punches, and it was only when it got close and messy that he was throwing the overhand rights and stuff like that. But
I think quite wild them overhand rights and missing carelessly. I just thought the body shots he could have maybe concentrated on working them, but. Tyson Fury, when you're in front of him, 6'9", 18 stones, got all that reach, and he knows how to tie you up and maul you. I just wanted your perspective as a heavyweight. Would you have done anything different when you got to Tyson, up close?
And especially Tyson's obviously got the range, so later in the fight, then he started landing that jab and the long body shot.
Body shots.
I felt like it was going to warm up and it was going to start to get interesting. Then it was over, and that happens in boxing.
But the thing is, Fletch, in all fairness, sorry about that. I called you Fletch there.
That's
Careful.
all right, he's my mate.
You can let that go. So the thing is, Carl, in many ways, what we saw there, and you said it was one of 2 things. It was almost flawless from Tyson. He hardly got hit with a shot. He broke a guy down with a few body shots and a few jabs, and then he took the man out. Hold on a minute, we've got Joseph Parker joining us now.
Here he is.
Joe, come on, you might as well come in.
It's all going
Joseph Parker's here.
How are you, Joe?
Oh, good to see you.
You too, mate.
Joe, we mentioned your fight earlier on. The fight that we just saw, Tyson Fury. What were you expecting that type of finish from Tyson? I know you're inside his camp. You're a friend of his. Did you think?
I think he's going to knock him out between round 6 and 9, and it was 6.
And did you think he could finish it with a clean shot like that, Joe?
I knew he could. I felt like in the camp when he was sparring and all the training he done that he could finish it with a shot like that. But we just didn't know what to expect.
Okay, well, that's enough about that fight. What about the big lad here? You and the big lad are going to fight in July. We're going to be outdoors.
We're nearly there. We'll sign the contract, get it done, and then let's get into the ring and see who's the best Joe. Joe versus Joe.
Yeah, let's see who the best Joe is. See what a fight it's going to be.
Older Joe or younger Joe?
He keeps on mentioning that.
Well, in all fairness, he's entitled to.
Just because you're younger.
Well, you could hit back. You could hit back with, he's a boy. He's too young.
Yeah.
You're mature.
See, you could say all that kind of stuff.
Mature
But
and
it'd be
old.
rubbish,
But
wouldn't
it'd
it?
be rubbish.
Yeah. In all fairness, as I said to you when I was talking to you earlier on, I mean, no disrespect. Unless something happens personal behind the scenes that we don't know about, unless something personal happens behind the scenes that we don't know about, you two are just going to have to show up, shake hands, get on with it, and then do your stuff in the ring.
Yeah, we're not really we can't really trash talk. Can you?
I've been practicing a little bit.
Have you not seen the film? No, he's been having lessons to trash talk. Can you remember any of that, Joe, from that film?
I'm eminently assurant or something. You have to wait and see until listen.
It's like the worst trash talking ever. Listen, Joe, I'll let you go back to the press conference. Joe Parker's going.
Okay,
Joe,
Joe.
will let you go as well. Absolute
Thank
pleasure,
you.
the two of you. It's been a joy talking to you. Thanks, Joe. Oh, well, how about that, Carl?
Well, it's nice to get a bit of perspective from Joe Joyce, who's obviously he shared many rounds of sparring with Anthony Joshua, and he was ringside, and he's seeing what he's seen, but he's focusing on the Joseph Parker fight. When he was impressed with Fury, I don't think he sounded like he was overly impressed with Dillian Whyte. But it was one of them kind of performances that, like we said earlier, it started to get going, started to look like it could warm up. It was messy, it was ugly at times, and then it was over. It was all over one shot, and what a shot it was.
Yeah. I know. Let's get down here. So what we're going to do now then? Just see if Dillian's in his room. I was here earlier with BT, and he was being stitched up and they wasn't doing anything. But that was about 40 minutes ago. Let's just have a little wander down here, Carl, and see. Just in case. He might be, he might not be. So earlier on, I was just waiting in this corridor. There's one of his security guys here. Is he still inside? Okay. That was me just asking one of Dillian's men. In fact, that's Simon that does his strength and conditioning. This is, in all fairness, this is not one of the nicest parts of the job, Carl, when you have to go to a loser's dressing room, especially one that's had his dream shattered and he's having his eye stitched, and you have to go to his dressing room and put in that request to see, to see the guy, to speak to the guy. So we'll just pause it here for a second and wait until we get a yay or a nay. If it's a nay, no sweat. If it's a yay, we'll go in. Absolutely, it's fair enough.
Depends what mood he's in. Depends how he's feeling.
Absolutely. So I'm just gonna do. Yeah, you okay? I'm moving over now. I'm inside the room. Gonna sit down with Dillian. Eating some Haribo's. Dillian, first of all, you okay?
I'm good. I'm good. Good.
Tough night, son.
Yeah, it was. I think there was a lot in the fight. It was a close fight. Obviously, the game plan was starting to come on more and more. Obviously, it was to press him. Obviously, wreck the body, didn't start moving forward. But my coaches gave me great advice. But sometimes in India, you see something else, and then you make a decision. Didn't pay out for me because I was doing left, right, left, and then I was countering. I was trying to attack. Then I went left, right, and okay, I'm saying, okay, maybe now I can go one slip and come back with the shots. But went one slip and then I got caught with the shot.
Sometimes in fights you do nothing wrong. It's just one punch that can change things. It's not like you had a bad 5.5 rounds. You just got hit with one shot.
You got to make decision at a high level in them and high, quick decision. So, but it is what it is, man. I didn't feel like I was outclassed India. He was just still was that level, Sanjay won. He's the greatest fighter of all time, so.
And what about, his size and his strengths, all those things that people talk about? Did he surprise you with any of that, or was it exactly what you expected, Dillian?
No, I wasn't surprised. He's a big, awkward guy. He was already switching that. I was still able to land shots, I was still able to land jabs, even though it's all of me. I was still able to land jabs and do my thing, wet the body. But it was one of those fights where we were both on the edge. We was both on the edge, we were both on the edge. So it was a close fight.
And just coming towards the end, did you feel you were getting closer with the shots? And
yeah. Body shots started to land it more and more. And I think he was surprised because I came out southpaw and lost it round, and it was very awkward for him as well. So it was good. And there's some good shots. He learned some good shots. It was a good fight. Good learning experience, you know. I felt like I was close to titles. You know, obviously, it was always going to be an awkward fight, but I was just trying to set my things up and trying to be patient and learn what I could early, and then later on start pressing the fight. As you can see from round 3 onwards, I started to press, but you know, I should have pressed a bit more intelligent. But that's why I say experience is experience. You can't buy it, you know.
listen, Dylan, you can leave here with your head held high, and everybody in here. Listen, thanks for your time, both last week, throughout this week, and for letting us into your dressing room this evening.
Yes, all good, man. Thank you guys for the support. Thanks for making a great event for me and for everyone else. Thank you.
Dillian Whyte, thanks very much indeed, Dillian. So that's Dillian there with his friends. There's still enough of them in the dressing room, just eating Haribo, getting a bit of sugar up, increasing their sugar levels. I'm going to go back outside into the corridor and find Carl. So Carl, he's like you'd imagine. He's quite subdued in now. But he was saying that, you know, as far as he was concerned, he was getting a bit closer, starting to let the shots go. And he just left himself a bit open and got caught with a good shot. Which, in all fairness, it's about right. I mean, he was fairly flat.
It was in the fight. It was in the fight, wasn't it? But he wasn't having much success in terms of punches landed. But he was getting there, and he was getting his feet in range. And it was a one-punch fight. So if you're going to look back on that fight and say what happened,
one punch.
It was a one-punch fight.
See, you're absolutely right, Carl. You've said it 2 or 3 times so far. You're absolutely right. You summed it up when you were perfect. When you said we were waiting for the fight to start. We were waiting, and that's no word of a lie. I thought it was just picking up a little bit in that 6th round, and I thought we were going to get a 7th here.
Starting to get interesting.
And here's the thing, and no one's going to believe this, right? But we were a few seconds away from me saying that what this fight needs is a knockdown, not a knockout, a knockdown.
A knockdown. Well, if Whyte would have got up, then all of a sudden Tyson Fury would have started to open up with shots. Would he have got the finish?
He would have gone for the finish.
Would he have gone for it and then blown a gasket for a little bit, and then Whyte recovered after a minute rest? All these invariables that didn't happen always can happen in heavyweight boxing. Yeah. But it can also just be over with the blink of an eye. And we've seen it time and time again. We've seen top fighters, world champions, unbeaten fighters get hit with one punch. Yeah. We've seen Lennox Lewis get knocked out by Hassim Rahman.
Twice. And Oliver McCall. 2 big shots.
Oliver McCall had his eyes closed when he landed that shot.
Exactly.
And it was fight over.
Well, Lennox tells a story, and I think Lennox is right, you know, because Lennox isn't a guy that talks rubbish. Lennox tells a story that he's convinced that those 2 right hands that knocked him out, certainly with Rahman, that was his last punch, and with Oliver McCall, it was probably going to be second to last punch. So he got literally knocked out with the last punches of those fights. So let's do this. Let's put it in summary now. Tyson Fury has retained his WBC heavyweight title. 94,000 people have come here. Finished in the 6th round with a perfect right uppercut. What memory are you going to take from this? What are we going to be talking about in 5 years when we sit down in DiMartino's or sit down in the BBC to look back on this night in 5 years' time? What will be your overriding memory?
I think for me it's going to be probably the Fury ring entrance and the atmosphere. I mean, it's a lot of people, 94,000. And that entrance was something special. And, you know, we're in England, we've got 2 British heavyweights, arguably one of the best, certainly the best heavyweight of this era. It's always hard to say how good would Tyson Fury being against a Mike Tyson or a Riddick Bowe or an Evander Holyfield or a Lennox Lewis. It's impossible to know, but you know he could have mixed it with the best of them.
Absolutely.
And it was just the finish. It was a one-punch fight as far as I'm concerned, because all that was happening earlier on was there was moving the pawns on that chessboard. There was putting the bishop up, and then there was dropping it back a little bit. And then they moved the rook in, and there was just setting it up and lining it up. And then, bam, the king, the Gypsy King, he found the finish. And that's the difference between the champions sometimes and the also-rans, the one that find the finish. So he found a way, didn't he, Tyson?
Yeah, he did. He found a way, and he found it in style, not a mad, fluky, crazy shot. Carl, it's been a pleasure talking to you both tonight and all week. It's been a terrific week. Carl Froch, I'll let you get back. I know you're going to go home. it's gone midnight now. It's started to rain. There are very few people left floating around here. And one or two people I saw leaving this arena tonight. In fact, we heard it from Todd Debrief. From Top Rank, we heard it. Him saying, "I've just never seen anything like it. I can't believe it. It's been, it's been just the most amazing night. I don't want to leave. I don't want to go back to Las Vegas." He said, Dillian Whyte was a crushed figure in there, but that's understandable. He was a crushed figure. Then we also heard from Joe Joyce and Joseph Parker talking about the fight. Joseph Parker predicted it, Joe Joyce less so, and also their fight, which will be a great heavyweight fight coming up in July. Outdoors, Frank Warren told me earlier on when I spoke to him. Carl Froch held my hand throughout all of it. That's what you call a proper bonus post-fight edition. Well, 94,000 people came to Wembley for a fight that made history, for a fight involving the unbeaten Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, against Dillian Whyte. Styles make fights, they say. And he was tonight, Tyson Fury. He wasn't electrifying and magnetising like he has been in some of the Deontay Wilder fights, but he was brilliantly sensible. Everything he did worked. He was smart, he was clever, and he finally found the exact tiny little opening. And Bush, that was it. Tyson Fury retains his title. 5 or 6 months of negotiating and a one-punch finish. A very special night, an unforgettable night, an unforgettable night at Wembley. Thanks for listening, as always. And next week, we're in New York. We're in the Big Apple. No Costello this time. Myself, producer Pat, and a lineup of thousands. A pod every night. And Katie Taylor against Amanda Serrano from Madison Square Garden, the big room, 20,000 sellout, live and exclusive on 5 Live. And I'm going to get to say something now that I like. See you in the Big Apple, people. It's been an absolute pleasure. From Wembley in North London on an unforgettable night.
Let's get ready to rumble!
5 Live Boxing.